Well, good morning to everyone. Hope you're all doing well this morning. Beautiful Wednesday morning. Weather's kind of warm out here in the desert. Actually, it's kind of strange weather we're having out here in the desert. Almost like it's hazy, almost like LA basin. It's kind of weird, but nonetheless, it's still beautiful to live out here. Gorgeous place to live, surrounded by the Santa Rosa Mountains and the San Bernardino Mountains. We've had a lot of wind out here lately. Today it doesn't appear to be quite as windy as it has been, thank God. But it'd be a lot worse. We could be back on the East Coast where it's snowing, cold, and freezing. So this morning I posted, well, oftentimes, I talk about from my book and a lot about the problems that we're having in different areas and how the abuse affects us in different areas. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that, but I want to talk from my workbook, the 7-Day Challenge workbook. About some little bit way to heal ourselves. It seems kind of silly, but it's with the random acts of kindness. It's actually exercise in my 7-day workbook, 7-Day Challenge workbook, that will walk you through a simple process. And from that section in the workbook, I posted this morning in part. For a variety of reasons, the vast majority of us have missed out on the chance to bond with our primary caregivers. We go through life desperately seeking the validation and approval from others. The problem is that we forget to approve of ourselves. So oftentimes, parents learn from their parents, who learn from their parents, who learn from their parents. And oftentimes people don't know how to give their children approval. They think that constructive criticism is approval. There's different ways that they think, but we don't get that approval as kids growing up. And thus, in conversations I've had, including myself in this, thus as we go through life, we're constantly seeking the approval that we never got as children growing up. I know when I started using drugs and alcohol, that's the primary reason that I did it. Well, not the primary, secondary reason. The primary reason is I just needed something to kill the shame and the pain. But I also needed approval. I needed somebody to accept me for who I was. And so what I did is my buddies that I walked away from drugs and alcohol countless times before, hey Linda, countless times before, when they offered to me this time, they were going to accept me, they were going to approve of me, I said, I'm in. So over time, what happens is we become so dependent on other people's approval. And that's all that matters to us. And in doing so, what we do is we become these emotional chameleons. For example, we're with one group of friends and we do, even though we might know that what they're doing is wrong or we disagree with what we're doing or what they're doing, but we're still trying to fit in. We're still trying to find that approval. We're still seeking some kind of affirmation. We fall in with that crowd and we become the people that they are in order to fit in and in order to be approved and in order to be accepted by somebody. Oftentimes what we'll do is we say yes, when the reality is we mean no. And no is a perfectly good answer, and no doesn't need an explanation. But when you're seeking approval constantly, yes is the answer you're going to give because you don't want to be rejected. We don't want to be rejected as human beings. We do things that we don't want to do. We do things that we don't mean to do. Again, why? Because we want to be a part of. I'm guilty of it. I'm real guilty of it. I've talked to countless men and women that are guilty of this. I just had a conversation with Topeka, the other life coach I'm working with, yesterday, and she was guilty of it. So I think we're all guilty of it to some extent. It goes back to the story of the cartwheels, the little kid doing cartwheels. The little kid, that's true, Linda. They're controlling you. Very true. The little kid doing cartwheels. He's doing cartwheels, or she's doing cartwheels just out of the pure joy of doing them. But the minute mom, dad, uncle, aunt, cousin go, hey, you do those so well, in many cases, they're no longer doing it just for the joy of it. They're doing it because they got the approval and the attention of somebody else. And then over time, the joy of the cartwheels disappears. So over the time, we'll fall into a pattern of repeating this behavior time and time again, just so that we can feel our approval cup. Just so we can fill our approval cup, just so we don't feel left out, just so we feel part of. The real problem is this, is that, other people's approval, it drains out of us really fast. Drains out of us as fast as it comes in, and it's never enough. Never enough. Never enough. So again, we go back and we have parents that love us and approve of us, affirm us, discipline us, not punish us, not approve us, not affirm us, and then the next sentence turn around and tell us how rotten we are. But we have, and again, it's no fault of parents. It's just generation to generation. It's been handed down to them. So it's a new way of looking at things. Just because we learned a certain way from our parents, we learned from their parents, we learned from their parents, doesn't mean that it's okay. Rigorously honest is what we have to become with ourselves. How did it make us feel? Like go in a whole other direction. I don't want to go there, but so the approval is important as our kids are growing up. The truth, as we get older, especially as we're adults, when we're kids, it's a little different. We absolutely need that approval. And I will tell you, my father died 49 years ago, and I still need his approval. Not in a codependent way, not in a bad way, but it's still, Dad, I want to sit down and talk with you. I need you to know. I need to know that I make you proud. Okay, I need to know that. But what we also need to accept is that the only approval that can really fill us up is our own approval. Is our own approval. We are enough in God's eyes. We are perfect children of God. And it's getting to that point of saying, yeah, I am enough. What I'm doing is okay in God's eyes. I'm living a godly life. I'm a good husband. I'm a good father. Now, let's be real about this. We all want other people's approval to some degree, I mean, I think that's just, in a way, also, I want to say that could be human nature. So there's some degree of that I think is just, like I said, a human nature. What is your motive? And this is where it gets to the codependent part of approval from others. What is your motive for seeking approval from others? I know for me, people that were unethical and immoral, whatever, if they're the ones that were going to approve of me, that's what I was gonna do to fit in. Okay. So the bottom line is this: we might be able to fool the other people into approving of us, but this is the important part. It comes at the expense of our own approval. And that's too high of a price to pay. We're lying to ourselves. We're lying to ourselves. So we have to be careful. What are we seeking approval for, and from whom are we seeking that approval? When the only people we should be getting approval from is from God. Is your behavior, can you approve of the way you live today wholeheartedly? Okay. So, there's a little exercise you can do to start reversing this. Okay. Instead of doing things to garner admiration or approval from other people, do it 100% for your own approval. Do it 100% for your own approval. Don't do anything for anybody else's approval. Dr. Alan Berger says this, that we're always trying to obtain the unattainable approval of our parents, of our father, of our mother, of our boss. We're always trying to obtain the unobtainable approval of others. We'll never meet everybody's expectations. Not only does it just plain feel good to secretly do nice things for other people, it completely destroys the power of the all too familiar, the world would be better off without me thought. The world would be better off without me. I embarrass myself more times than I care to talk about trying to get other people's approval. So remember also, Matthew 6:3 says, and this is important. This is important. And I do struggle with this still sometimes, but Matthew 6:3 says, but when you give to someone in need, don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. So do it without telling anybody. Why are you seeking other people's approval? Hey, guess what I did? Hey, what's up, Eric? Guess what I did this week? I hear it all the time from people. And I also see there's a lot of those same people, I hear them boasting about how they helped other people, did these random acts of kindness. I also know they got the other side of them that's not real healthy. So, hey, Glenn. So remember, do random acts of kindness. Don't let the left hand know what your right hand's doing. It's between you and God. The only rule to this exercise, there's only one rule. Don't get caught, and do not tell anyone what you're doing. Don't get caught, and don't tell anybody what you're doing. That's the only rules right there. Random acts of kindness might be go clean up a public restroom. You know, somewhere in your life, did you destroy a public restroom along the way? Here's your amends. You can clean up a public restroom. Leave a nice note for someone. You don't have to say who wrote it. Just leave a nice note complimenting somebody that you want to compliment. Pay for a coffee of a person behind you in line. You know, pay it forward. Leave a flower on someone's windshield. And the possibilities are endless. Possibilities are endless. Have fun, be creative, and don't get caught. Have fun, be creative, and don't get caught. I promise you, if you start doing this, hold the door open for somebody. You'll shock people if you hold the door open, especially for, I always hold doors open for people. Some people look at me like, what do you want? I don't want nothing. I'm just holding the door open for you. I'm a gentleman. Okay? Ask somebody if they need help. Get out of yourself. And as you start doing these random acts of kindness, you feel good about yourself. You're approving of yourself. So I hope that helps a little bit. Yeah, I hope that does. And I'll end with this. We have our 1 hour introduction to understanding the blueprint of relationships workshop. It's going to be April 17th at Mama's house. we're going to be talking just a little bit about brain functions, father-mother relationship, some of the what have you been taught. There's a couple different things we're going to be working on. We only have an hour. We were working on the final part yesterday, and it's really hard to do this in an hour, but we're going to do it in an hour. We're going to talk about maybe, if you have, what conflict are you currently going through. So trying to understand why we are the way we are today. So that's why we'll look a little bit in the big workshop. We're going to go more. It's a 12-week workshop, 6 one-day intensive workshops, and then in between we'll do 6 group coaching sessions via Zoom or Skype or something like that. So that's going to start April 17th is the first 1-hour complimentary workshop. It is free. Then we'll have another 1 or 2 before June 30th is when the big one starts. I promise you'll learn a lot from it. Every workshop that I've had, they've just been really small, but people always walk away with a lot of good information. So we're expanding it. I'm doing it with another life coach. So if there's a link I put on this, this live feed, and you'll see it when I pop up. Click on that link. You can register. It's $197 value. We're giving it to you complimentary as a gift, just as an introduction thing. Can't go wrong for that. So just click on the link, say yes, and that's all you got to do. The address is Mama's house in Palm Desert. Everything is there. Okay. I believe that's it. We're still doing the ride across America, Seattle to San Diego. We're looking we're going to start doing some fundraising, sponsorships. There's a lot of stuff we need to do. So if you're willing, if you can do, if you're good at any of that, sponsorship, fundraising, I'm going to have to reach out to a lot of recovery centers, bike shops. If you're good at any kind of outreach stuff, I could really use the help. It doesn't pay. It's all random act of kindness. So just hit me up, instant message me, and I'd be glad to have you help me. Okay? So I think that's it for today. If nobody's told you that they love you today, remember that Randy does, and more importantly, God does. Thank you so much for being a part of this today. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you all. Have a blessed day. Love you.